And we're live. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano, and I'm excited as heck right now to have the bearded brothers on, Eric Molitor and Jerry Molitor. Okay, and for those of you who've been following me, you kind of remember Eric last time was a little bit more clean-shaven. He just got acquitted from the FBI fake kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer. So now he is fully bearded, just like his brother. And those of you who've been following me over the last several weeks saw that his brother Jerry went viral on our platforms for the phone call that he gave Gretchen Whitmer's office. So welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm excited for this one because this is the whole essence of what the Grassroots Army is about, is ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And when you emailed me, I was like, heck yeah, I'll have you on because of what you guys are doing. So just give you a little background, folks, of what these two gentlemen are doing. The third, Dylan Wade, he's not with us today. He couldn't make it, but they started a group called CONSOL, and that is called Constitutional Solution. And their goal, and this is pretty awesome, is to educate the masses on how our system is supposed to work, the present issues, explain how they negatively affect the people, and produce solutions on how to fix the issues. And I think, gentlemen, that is exactly what people need because, I was ignorant before all this stuff went down 4 years ago. And that's one thing that I got in when I started that group way back when, is a crash course in a lot of things. So I appreciate you guys for both coming on. But, what gave you the inspiration on starting this group?
Well, everybody sits around and we all have the same ideas, these are the problems, but nobody's saying the stuff out loud. We don't know where to go. We feel crazy. If we talk out loud, people are going to think we're crazy. But then we started finding other people that thought the same way, and come to find out we're not crazy. Neither are you. We had no other place to go except for ourselves. And so then when we found that out, we just opened it up to everybody. We're like, you got a place at our table. No matter how crazy you think you sound, we see the same things you see. We're saying the same things you're saying. You got a place at our table. So we just want to bring people together. And instead of focusing on America as a whole, like I wanted to do originally, it's too hard when you're a small group. But you can do a lot locally that you can get a lot more done, is where I'm going. So that's kind of why we started it, just give people who felt they didn't have a voice a place where their voice actually matters.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because I think everyone wants that. They just want their voice to be heard. And so many times in the past, we believed, and social media has obviously been a blessing and a curse. It's a great tool to allow people's voices to be heard and platforms to do just that. Unfortunately, we get the other side of the issue too, with people that probably shouldn't be on there talking that are talking. But I mean, that's the whole point, is allowing people somewhere to go. Ordinary people, like I said, doing extraordinary things, and come together and have communication, have conversation, and figure it out. Because I like where you guys are going with this locally, is because that's where the power is, right?
Yeah. So one of the issues that we have is a lack of representation, right? Everybody says nobody listens to us anyways. Well, I can tell you one of the reasons why. In Wexford County, for example, here's if people want to screenshot that, but 2/3 of our delegate seats are empty. Like, we don't have people going and actually representing us on the most local level. That's why we're not being heard. Look into being a delegate, and that's someplace you can start locally, and you can still run for other seats as well. So this is just one simple, easy way to start getting voices heard.
Yeah, and even aside from running for anything, come to find out, our representatives, they hear so little from their constituents. If they get 10 phone calls on a single issue, they'll view that as a hot button issue that needs to be addressed. But it's amazing that to even reach that threshold to get them to notice an issue, that it's hard to motivate people to get the voice out there, have them call their representatives, and again, without having the most local representation, You know, it's like, well, do they really care when you're reaching that far up the ladder?
So what's your guys' intent with this? Obviously you have a Facebook page, and what is that Facebook page called?
CONSOL of Wexford. Right now, that's just for our county, but CONSOL can be placed in any county in any state. This is something that it's a movement. We're not a political organization. It's just a movement. It's an ideology. So this can reach Democrats, Republicans, libertarians. It doesn't matter, man. If you feel the same way that we do, like I said, you got a place at our table. So. Originally, we started this because we wanted to inform people how the system's supposed to work and start actually pushing people to take elected seats in the local government. But then with everything that's been happening, this push against the 2A again, and hard ones like anti-paramilitary training. So that means militias, trying to make all the bans on high capacity magazines and all this stuff. It's a direct threat to us. And so instead of doing what we wanted to do during this awesome election year, it would have been great to be able to push that. But nope, we got to backtrack now and try to secure our 2A again, because if we don't have that, we will not be able to do anything else.
Yeah. And then on top of that, from my perspective, I have a side business where I deal with one of our fundamental constitutional rights. And I'm looking at these laws coming down the pike, not just in our state, but in the federal government. You have Hawaii just in the last couple of days saying, as a state, they don't recognize any right at all to bear arms. You look at what's going on in our state with the red flag laws, the safe storage for firearms. It's like, all this stuff was put in place for a reason. Mm-hmm. The people that want to ban guns right off the bat without understanding the reason why we need them, it sounds crazy. Nobody wants to fight their fellow American, and neither do we. And that's the purpose of this group, is to try and take it away from the violent extremists that are out there that seem to dominate the headlines of the mainstream news.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and I just watched the Hawaii situation unfold, which is mind-boggling, is that they're not honoring the Constitution. The reasoning was it was against the spirit of – it was really weird what the reasoning was on why they weren't honoring the Second Amendment in Hawaii. It was like the spirit of something. I didn't read it in detail. Yeah, it was interesting that was their reasoning on banning that. So, and that's one thing that we've learned, and that's what the other side, these progressive leftists, that they're really good at, is taking back ground little at a time. They're in it for the long game, and they just slowly but surely take ground, and pretty soon, boom, it's gone, just like in Hawaii. And I agree with the red flag laws. Like, they look fine and dandy on paper. Of course, we don't want schizophrenic people, to have access to do horrible things with anything, cars, knives, anything, right?
Rocks or scissors, you
got it. And the problem is who makes those decisions, and Eric, you have personal experience with this with the FBI, and the FBI visited my house, and they could have came in and tried to take away my Second Amendment. Of course, I get my due process right in court, but what kind of judge am I going to get?
There you go.
Literally, it could be just stripped away. And so those are the reasons why, again, that I agree with you guys. Red flag laws, no bueno.
Hey, so check this out, right? I was acquitted in September 15th. It's been almost 5 months. I was just taken off the terror watch list and the no-fly list last Thursday. So I have been officially a free person again for only about a week after all this time. Yep. And I found this out because I finally got my stuff back from the FBI, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, the background check was what was holding you up. You were still on the registries." I'm like, so my rights have been obviously trampled from the beginning of this, but for sure since September 15th. If I would have went to go fly somewhere, I would have been detained. If I would have came over to transfer or buy a gun for my brother here, then that would have been a felony for me filling out that paperwork, and I had no idea. When I was told that I was acquitted, that shit should have been dropped right then and there.
Amen. I didn't know that. And Eric, by the way, you look like a totally, entirely different man right now, not only with the epic beard you got going on like your brother, but just your energy, man. It just, it probably feels pretty damn good to be free. But I had no idea that, the day of the acquittal, you should have had your rights back.
Wow,
Yep.
it gets a little weirder than that because my stuff, I was charging the state, my stuff went to the feds. Why would that happen unless the feds picked up my case and they were trying to watch me so that they could, because once you're acquitted in the state, it doesn't matter. The feds can still pick you up on the same exact charges because of a different system. So it's not double jeopardy, right? So I'm assuming that my stuff got sent up because the feds were trying to look at me for something. But what are they going to find? I'm not a criminal person, man.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
whatever, but I got my stuff and I'm off those lists finally. But yeah, 5 months, man.
And here we are trying to do good. And I started this organization. Now, is there other organizations out there that are similar? Because somebody just commented, is it like tacticalcivics.com? I'm not familiar with that organization, but I'm assuming that there is some other organizations kind of like what you guys are doing. But what separates you from these other organizations?
They are similar. There are other organizations that are similar. And the one that you just mentioned, the Tactical Civics, people should look into that because it actually teaches you how to not argue necessarily. I can't think of the word.
Debate.
Discuss. How to debate with people. It takes you through the Constitution and the thought processes of the founding fathers on why it is the way it is. Like, they are an excellent group. I started looking into them just recently, actually. So I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Very
it's really
cool.
Tactical Civics.
Yep, that's fantastic. And that's the point. Here we are, having conversation, and somebody just posts a comment that's educating everyone that's watching, and it's going to
thank you. Yeah,
but that's what it's about, man. It's about getting information, bypassing a lot of the corporate media and the social media censorship, so people can be educated with their decision making. But not only that, but be empowered. And that's what you guys are literally doing with your organization. Is you're going to empower people with information. So when did this kind of idea, take root in your guys' minds? I mean, were you over just having a couple beers and say, you know what, we need to do this? I mean, how was this whole thing evolving from when you guys first started talking about CONSOL?
Let me just say something real quick.
Yep.
I was involved in trying to get politics rolling back in 2019 before I was rated anyway. So I've already been on this, but my brother here has a different story how he got in.
A lot of it comes down to watching the experience my brother went through with the government, and then on top of that, with my side business and how much it's being affected by unconstitutional rules, regulations, laws. I look at the ATF, and they charge and convict another man on distributing or conspiracy to distribute illegal machine guns over a picture on a steel card. That's a First Amendment right. It's not, and then in the court case, they were comparing the picture on the steel card to, I know we can't say too many words on here because of analytics or whatever, but there's a crime that's CP, and the prosecution was comparing that to this picture on the card, and they're saying the pictures are what's detrimental, and it's like that there's so much going on that is unconstitutional. If we were to get back to just what the document says, what its intent is, so many of these issues would no longer be issues.
But we need the people to stand up.
We just need the backing of the people. And that's who we're doing this for, is the people.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to have you guys on in February, because we're in the second pillar of what it takes to be Grassroots Army Strong. We just got done with the physical component last month, and now we're into the mental component. And it's getting people to understand and know and get this information, and so they're mentally strong. So if these things come knocking on your door, if we have another situation like we did during the pandemic, then more and more people are going to stand up.
Yes.
Because they are going to be educated. They're going to be empowered. They're going to have the physical, mental, spiritual strength to do so. Hopefully, as we go into the next couple pillars, and we're even going to talk about becoming financially strong, because I'm sure, Eric, going through what you went through, you need a lawyer, you need to pay them, right? And if people don't have
more money.
Yeah, that's one thing in courts, but always the lawyers win, right? No matter if they're on the good or bad side, they're the ones that are always going to get paid. That's for sure.
Luckily, I had a good lawyer, man. Bill Barnett, that dude is just awesome.
Well, there you go. See, you're shouting out for some more, giving some people some notoriety, which is fantastic. So you had this idea, it takes root. Then what do you guys do? So you get together and say, hey, we got to run with this thing. Well, how did it all kind of evolve from there?
Well, we started out just with the general idea of being a source of education and a place for people to come that feel like they're outcast from the mainstream government and mainstream media. And then we started looking around just in our state. We had Green Township. They didn't want that battery plant from the Chinese company going in. Yep. And the township approved it anyways. And they turned around and they voted the whole township board out. Yes, it's like, hey, yep. You know, that's the power of the people right power there. Of the people. And then we keep looking around and we notice, hey, Holton Township, you know, down by Muskegon there. Not only did they pass a Second Amendment resolution similar to like what we did in Wexford County back in 2019, mainly due to the efforts of my brother, but they also passed a militia addendum on the back end of it to enforce it because they understood that resolutions don't have any legal teeth for backing. So it's like, man, if they can do that in that township, and that's here in Michigan, if Green Township can do that to their board, once again, that's here in Michigan. Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe it's time for people in this township to get involved, and maybe in the next township over, and the other 15 townships of Wexford County. And once we get the townships, how much easier is it to get the county to sign on board with it? And hopefully that'll spread like a wildfire. Yep. You know, people will feel empowered. They'll realize that they actually have a voice that means something. You know, that's a lot of what I've heard is people that, oh yeah, you know, and I want to speak out, but who do you talk to? Yeah, it's like, well, we've got a platform now. You know, we've went to township meetings already, but we're going to continue going to township meetings. We've actually got certain items that we want to discuss in those meetings and have the townships vote on it. Depending on how the members vote, depends on if they're going to get the support from CONSOL of Wexford or not.
To be reelected or not.
Yep. And if they're going to not vote for it, that's a vote against their constituents. Yep. That's a vote against the rights of the American people. And quite honestly, it's kind of a vote against themselves.
I love it. So let's say there's someone out there right now that are just freaking eating up everything that you guys are saying right now. They're fired up. They're like, these guys are right. I want to be involved. Where do they go? What do they do? How do they get in contact with you? You know, how does that process work?
CONSOL of Wexford on Facebook is probably the easiest option to get a hold of us. And then from there, you know, after conversations and discussions, because there are certain qualifications that if someone meets those qualifications, we just can't work with them. Not because we don't like who they are as a person or anything else. What it comes down to is this group is an ideological group. Yes. But, you know, so there's certain viewpoints that we can't have infiltrate into this group. But we have a form to try and help sort those viewpoints out, depending on how people, if they want to fill out the form or not. You know, that there's no force in any of it. If you don't want to fill out the form, you don't have to. You don't have to be a member of the group if you don't have to. You don't have to call your representatives if you don't want to. It's all about your rights and your choices. Yep.
Would you mind like sharing with the audience some of that criteria, kind of what you guys are looking for and how you're vetting these folks? I mean, obviously they're going to have to be pro Second Amendment, pro Constitution, you know, the obvious ones. What are some other ones that you guys wouldn't mind sharing just so the audience knows?
So we need people who are going to be God first of all. Everything that we do comes from God. Our moral standards are from God. We believe in the Constitution as pretty much written by God is the way we see it, because these are God-given rights. The Constitution just guarantees the government can't abuse them against you or you against them. So you have to be constitutionally minded. You have to be open, because a lot of things is people don't understand the system. So you got to be willing to learn. And you got to be willing to be active. And of course, the activity is not necessarily driving all the way to Lansing for protests all the time. Simply calling, you know, just try to be active. Am I missing something in that?
No, that's a lot of it. We do have views on right to life. The Constitution guarantees each individual the right to life, liberty, and happiness. At the point that the DNA does not match the DNA that you can scrape off your finger, it's not your right to affect that life. that life has a right on its own now.
We're very conservative.
Yep. We also care if people care about, violating the speed limit, as long as nobody gets hurt. There's something about maintaining structure for the community, a certain standard of safety. So taxes is another big thing. Yep. People think that all taxation is theft. Well, if you want a good sheriff, you got to pay them. I'm not saying that they got to make it a millionaire, but you got to pay them some sort of a wage so that they care about their job. And so unless you're going to magically print money, you've got to have some sort of a tax system to pay for that type. And then obviously military, we have opinions on that.
Yep.
Well, I want to stop because you guys made some really cool points that I want to bring to everyone's awareness. Is number one, I like your action, right? We need people that are going to take action, just not sit there and bitch online, right?
Yes.
Like let's take some action. Let's get focused. Let's have a goal and a vision, and let's go after it, because action every single day mounts up to achieving that goal or that directive. And another thing that I like is what
the 1 degree difference.
Yeah, that's right, man. So yeah, the 1 degree. Yeah, absolutely. Is what you just said with taxes. Like, I agree with you. Like, I have no problem paying taxes as long as I know and believe it's going to further our society in some way.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we're getting just screwed, obviously, is they're just, funneling all of our tax paying dollars, our hard earned money overseas, the Ukraine and everything else, to line the pocketbooks of all these corrupt politicians and warmongers.
Yes.
But I think the normal American, the majority of folks, would totally agree with your statement, Jerry, is, hey, look, if we're going to further our society, make sure that we're paying the right people and making sure and everything else, our military strong and the roads are fixed, we're going to have to pay, whatever that tax is on how they decide that they're going to do it. I think most Americans would agree with that. I think that's a valid point, man.
Yep. And then the taxes, I mean, quite honestly, when you look at how much you're taxed between your income, your property, your sales, you pay so much out of your income for taxes, and a lot of that is double taxed or triple taxed, and then the tax money is squandered and wasted instead of being spent on things that would actually better the community or better the situation of living for Americans. And that's the other thing. We need to worry about America first. This isn't a Trump thing. Yeah. No. It's an American thing. If you don't have an America, you don't have anything to care about other people with.
Yep.
No, I agree with that 100%. And plus what you just said about being fiscally responsible. That's it. And that's in the double taxation, like especially when you own your own business.
Yep.
I mean, you just get killed with taxes. And your side gig, Jerry, real quick, I have it right here. Are you still have the Selma Guns and Such? Is that your side gig? Can you talk to the audience a little bit about that? What is that?
It's just a little tiny shop in the back of my garage. I do a lot of online transfers for people, stuff like that.
Cheapest around.
Yep, I am the cheapest transfer place around. I only charge $10 for my transfer.
Oh my god!
Yep, I'm not out $10 off of people. I mean, it's one of those things. It's your constitutional right. It does take a little bit of my time, so that's why I charge a little teeny tiny bit of money. But I'd rather make $1 off of every person and have 1 million people come to my shop than make $1 million off of one person and only, see that person once every 10 years. So
Jerry, I have a funny feeling that there's going to be a lot of people getting a hold of you with that $10 transfer fee.
That's good.
This guy included.
I'm on all of the websites, gun broker, stuff like that. Yep. And if I'm not on something, get a hold of me and let me know. I'll send them my information, get it hooked up to where I can accommodate their customers.
That's awesome, man. Very, very good. Eric, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? Are you working stud? I mean, what's going on besides you guys starting this organization?
I'm still in the process of trying to find a job. I'm still dealing with some PTSD and some kind of comes along with like brain fog. So there's a lot of confusion sometimes, which leads to some anger issues sometimes. And so I am in counseling for that.
Good,
I am going to be taking some classes for survival and bushcraft so I can come back to Michigan. Those are in Ohio. I'll be coming back to Michigan up around my area. I can sell that stuff, work at my own pace, doing something I love with people who want to come to me. So it's not cold calling. And that's what I plan on starting my own business doing that. So that's going to be happening this year, actually. It's already in the works.
That's great, man. You got to have a purpose and a why. And Eric, you have every right to be freaking angry, brother. Like,
oh man,
I mean, geez, oh, Pete, what you went through and everything else they tried to throw at you, stud. Just, take it day by day, obviously. And I mean, you're a totally entirely different person from the last time I saw you online, buddy. So
yeah,
you're on the right path. And I love the stuff that you're doing, like with bushcraft and stuff, because in the month of May is Prepper Month at the Grassroots Army. So I'm going to be bringing all kinds of personalities and stuff who are selling books and who have huge followings with how to prep, EMP strike. And I love that stuff.
good.
I really do. It's just to continue to, get folks that information. And man, that's awesome that you're doing that. We got a few more minutes. What else would you like to say to the audience, man?
Well, if you don't mind, we have already written up an ordinance to be taken to our townships. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read these so that people know what we're pushing so that they know what they can push too.
Absolutely. Go for it, man.
All right. What do you want to do? The ordinance, and I'll do the Militia Act?
Sure.
Awesome.
All right. So the Holton ordinance, we're obviously giving Holton Township the credit for the idea because that's where everything came from. We're big on giving people credit where credit's due. We're not here to take the glory and glamour for ourselves. It's not a us thing. It's everyone thing. Yep. And that's also why we don't go the sovereign citizen route, is because that only affects that one individual. It does absolutely nothing for the future generations. The movement we're trying to start will carry on throughout the next generations. We want to pass that torch to the next leadership, but we want that leadership to be constitutional. Yeah. So with that in mind, this first ordinance that we've been proposing is concerning the Second Amendment. And it says, whereas the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of our nation, and whereas the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And whereas the United States Supreme Court has affirmed that the right of an individual to keep and bear arms as protected under the Second Amendment is incorporated by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment against the states. And whereas the United States Supreme Court has affirmed in the District of Columbia v. Heller an individual's right to possess firearms unconnected with service in militia for traditionally lawful purposes such as self-defense within the home. And whereas the United States Supreme Court in the United States v. Miller and District of Columbia v. Heller stated that firearms that are part of ordinary military equipment with use that could contribute to the common defense are protected by the Second Amendment. And whereas, now this is going to be specific to a township that we're going to present it to.
My township.
Yep. Whereas Clam Lake Township is concerned about the passage of any bill containing language which could be interpreted as infringing the rights of citizens of Clam Lake Township to keep and bear arms. And whereas Clam Lake Township declares and confirms its support of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States and Article 1, Section 6 of the Michigan Constitution. And whereas Clam Lake Township declares and confirms express opposition to any law that would unconstitutionally restrict the rights of citizens of Clam Lake Township to keep and bear arms. And whereas Clam Lake Township took an oath to support and defend the United States and Michigan Constitutions. And whereas Clam Lake Township declares and confirms its intent to stand as a sanctuary township for Second Amendment rights and to oppose within the limits of the Constitution of the United States and the Commonwealth of Michigan any efforts to unconstitutionally restrict such rights. Now, therefore, be it hereby enacted that the people of Clam Lake Township, through their duly elected members of Clam Lake Township, hereby designate Clam Lake Township as a Second Amendment sanctuary to preserve for the people of, on, and in Clam Lake Township the inalienable rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. Furthermore, the Clam Lake Township hereby expresses their intent to uphold the Second Amendment rights of the citizens of Clam Lake Township, Michigan. Furthermore, the Clam Lake Township hereby declares its intent to oppose any infringement on the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. we the people of Clam Lake Township, Michigan, through this ordinance, hereby declare our inalienable rights, our freedom, and our liberty as guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States of America. That is the ordinance that we will be looking to push and pass. And then because we need some sort of enforcement for that, Eric will take over on the second half of it.
And before you begin, Eric, real quick, will you guys post that on your Facebook page? Like, so people.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. Just so everybody knows that they can see a copy of that if they want to start doing it in their areas. Okay, brother, go ahead.
For sure. All right. And I'll try to, do this. Clam Lake Township Militia Public Security Act. This is an addendum to the ordinance declaring Clam Lake Township, Michigan, a Second Amendment sanctuary. Clam Lake Township, County of Wexford, State of Michigan, hereby enacts to adopt policies necessary for the security and rights of Clam Lake Township residents. 1. All legal residents with primary residency within Clam Lake Township have the opportunity to be a member of the Clam Lake Township Militia by stating on open media or to friends and or family or by letter stating their desire to be a member of Clam Lake Township Militia unless otherwise noted below. 1.1 is any resident under the age of 16. 1.2 is any resident who doesn't desire to be in Clam Lake Township Militia. So you just simply don't if you don't want to. No big deal. Number 2, from this date forward thereafter, all items listed below are protected from any federal, executive, county, or state regulations for the protection of Clam Lake Township residents. 2.1, all firearms in which the stock hits the shoulder that are legal by the United States Constitution of Natural Law as of 12/15/1791. We're going all the way back to the beginning, people, including but not limited to all semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. 2.2, all pistols or handguns that are legal by the United States Constitution of Natural Law as of 12/15/1791, including but not limited to all semi-automatic handguns or pistols. 2.3, all ammunition that is legal by the United States Constitution of Natural Law as of 12/15/1791. This includes but is not limited to any ammunition and quantity of ammunition that is intended for defense of self, homeland, and hunting. This also protects the rights of the people to reload their own ammunition. 2.4, all accessories that are legal by the United States Constitution of Natural Law as of 12/15/1791, including but not limited to stocks, grips, optics, magazines, clips, and suppressors. 0.5, any body armor that is legal by the United States Constitution of Natural Law as of 12/15/1791. 3.0 is Clam Lake Township will not acknowledge any new laws that are associated with red flag laws or any other infringement of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution of Natural Law. 3.1, Clam Lake Township will not acknowledge any regulation that prohibits constitutional carry. And the last one, this policy does not give any member the right to take violence into their own hands or act above the law in any way whatsoever. This shall be recorded as the addendum to the ordinance declaring Clam Lake Township, Michigan, a Second Amendment sanctuary to stop infringement of our Second Amendment rights as defined in the Bill of Rights, and the United States Constitution of Natural Law is adopted by Clam Lake Township Board. And that is what we have.
That's fantastic, man. So yeah, again, so you can go to your guys' Facebook page, CONSOL of Wexford, right? And I'll make sure I put that in the description after we're done here so folks can go there. And you guys will post that on there for those people?
Yes, it's already posted on there, I believe.
Oh,
and we will work with anybody. If you're interested, talk to us. We will help set you up. I'll come to you. You know what I mean? We'll have our own meetings, whatever. But we want to get people involved, and this is the way. We are the people. This is our government. It's not theirs. So let's take it back.
Gentlemen, I love everything that you had to share today. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your guys' knowledge, for your passion, for what you're doing to inspire other people. I mean, that's how we do it, and that's how we get it done.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to help other people help themselves. That's what people need. They don't need someone else to do everything for them. They just need to know where they can go to do things for themselves. Perfect. Independence is key.
Perfect. Independent, self-sufficiency. Do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do you think we celebrate the Independence Day every year? You know, that is a big deal.
That's right. Yeah, gentlemen, spot on, man. God bless you both, brother.
God bless you too, man.
You
Thank
also, definitely.
Talk to you guys later, man.
All right. Bye.
But awesome. Hey, one of my favorite interviews right there. Just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. It's the whole essence of what the Grassroots Army, there it is, Grassroots Army is. And man, that's just, it's good to see, it's good to hear, and it just continues to throw gasoline on my fire of liberty, that is for sure. So you can go check them out on their Facebook page, CONSOL, CONSUL of Wexford, WEXFORD, and I will put it in the description for you all that are going to be watching this live later on the replay. So that's all I have for you today, folks. We have a great lineup of people coming on. We have another medical doctor that's pushing to remove the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. She's coming on next week. We have some people coming on that are going to be the following month. Eddie Penny is just scheduled this morning with us. If you guys remember, he wrote the book Unafraid, and he's going to talk about his spiritual journey. You know, obviously, for those of you who remember Eddie, he was with SEAL Team 6, has a remarkable story of his spiritual journey. And so he's going to come on and talk to us all about that. And obviously, I'm very, very excited for Prepper Month in the month of May. I'm getting some great people on here to talk about what you can do at home on homesteading, on gardening, on, preparing for an EMP strike, your go bag. We're just going to be creative, have fun, and really try to just get you all some information on where you can get these things that are cost effective and everything else. So it's going to be a fantastic 2024. That is for sure, especially when President Trump takes back the White House. Oh, did I say that? Oh, yes, I did. Have a great day, everyone. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan, of course, and always, God bless these United States.